Here we go. Okay. All right. We're just going to start. Hell with it. I'm waiting for Kuzu Daddy, but I don't know what happened. Yeah, this is our studio. We're just going to start. Hell with it. All right, that sounds pretty good. I'm waiting for... All right, there's just too much to talk about. We just have to get started. There's too much to address. There's too much that needs to be dealt with. Maybe if I zoom in a little bit, get a little closer on the... in focus, yeah, I guess so. There's just too much to talk about. Pete Rose, we got to talk about Pete Rose, of course. Where are my notebooks? Let me make sure I have my fucking notebooks. Hold on. I'll keep the audio on. Maybe this will still work. As we speak, we probably should be doing some kind of live debate, watching party. Is it still working? Let me just make sure this thing is still debate. Okay. Yeah, there's just so much on the agenda here. There's so many issues, so many things. I mean, Israel, Iran launched missiles at Israel. Israel invaded Lebanon. They killed Hezbollah. They killed everybody in Hezbollah. There's a flood. There's biblical flooding in North Carolina. Asheville, Carolina, is like undergone a lot of disaster, kind of destruction. There's a lot. The dock workers are striking. There's just a lot. But yeah, Chris Christopherson, of course. We need to talk about Christopherson. Okay, is it choppy for people? Let me get out the YouTube on my phone real fast and just kind of see where we're at on how the actual stream looks. I'm sorry, this is sort of half of a. I was just watching Twitch streams, before this to sort of get some idea of how it goes, and it's like Jesus Christ. They just sit there. They don't even do anything. I'm sorry, this is sort of half looks good. I was just watching Twitch. All right. Before this to sort of get some idea of how it goes, and it's like, Jesus. Okay, so anyway, yeah, we're good, I guess. This looks more like a professional podcast type situation. See, I've got my lav mic here, right here, my wireless lav right there. So we've got that nice, crisp audio for everybody with the nice bassy resonance and clarity, as if you're just inside somebody's head while they're talking. We'll talk about the open mic, of course, because it's my favorite thing. Beating a dead horse, okay? We had a great show last night. It was a lot of fun. Doing it every week, there's hills and valleys. That's what consistency is about. There's going to be off nights. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows. You just keep walking the path, and you don't let the highs and at a certain point, they're sort of irrelevant, The relevance. Oh, I've got 2 likes. Is that 2 likes on this already? Is this because of the audio visual? We're committed to bringing you a higher quality streaming product to compete, YouTube is really coming to life. It's crazy. I saw Lonely Christopher put his movie on YouTube. So it's ascending to its place as like another social media giant and just a part of everybody's lives. I think people are starting to. Well, that poetry reading I posted, right? So we had the reading at Unnameable on, or not Unnameable, Spoonbill, We just doing all the bookstores. Um, we had that reading at Spoonbill on Saturday, which was a really nice time. Thank you to them for setting it up and for having us. But the video was a total disaster. Well, they have an interesting setup because they have this big table in the front with that's kind of like their main display table, and so the chairs are kind of arranged around that. And I'm a pretty timid person or something, I guess. I tend to err on the side of just like being so polite, nothing even gets done. Uh, so, sorry, I'm picking my teeth in honor of Pete Rose. So, I didn't want to like make a big deal. I don't take a big tripod. It's literally just my monopod. So I didn't want to make a huge deal about, oh, I'm filming this. And I try to be kind of incognito about it, not disrupt the proceedings in any way. But that I kind of, well, the other thing was the microphone wasn't working. So there actually was a PA system. And a microphone, but they weren't working for some reason. So we ended up just doing it a cappella the old-fashioned way. And it was nice. I mean, it was definitely a fun reading. And, but the video I got, so I published the video. I think the audio capture is not bad. It's not great because, like I said, the microphone went out, so it's like you're just hearing us in the room. But I've gotten like 100 views or something almost on that video, and a lot of them from like strangers, which is great. I love welcome new subscribers, new watchers, new viewers. I'm glad. I'm hopeful for this period where YouTube is going to like help us break into the freaking it feels like up till now there's been these kind of juggernauts that get all of the attention. These big planets have all the gravity. Shit like Jordan Peterson, Tim Dillon, Theo Vaughn, Rogan. It's just like those guys, they already have so much critical mass that like they just more views go to that stuff. Plus, there's probably dark money behind it. There's probably right-wing money behind it, to be honest. But now it feels like YouTube is being a little bit more friendly to the little guy and to the small businesses out there. These companies are kind of retooling their image. Zuckerberg, his image. He said the next big computing platform will be glasses. He might be right, but that's also kind of wishful thinking on his part. I think that's his way of still trying to do the Oculus kind of headset thing. It's just he's like rebranded. Oh, it's glasses. It's not the metaverse. It's augmented reality. Sorry, I'm picking my teeth here. Maybe it adds like needed pauses. Well, I was going to live stream anyway, so I was, Kuzu Daddy was supposed to join me. We were going to do a little interview, talk about Burning Man and what have you, but I don't know what happened. But anyway, I got the equipment set up. What the hell? I might as well just do my stream from here. Why not? Enhance the production value for for my loyal subscribers. And, like I said, so it seems like something in YouTube's algorithm or their priorities has changed where, and I also just think something, culturally, this is just how human beings are. For some reason, once it becomes trendy to do something, then it's like, oh, okay, everybody feels comfortable to go into the water. I guess just like the uses of YouTube has changed, because YouTube has been around for a long time, almost 20 years at this point. And I think till now, people just kind of, if they use it, they use it to look up videos or something. It's not necessarily like something they make content for. I think that's probably something that's a little newer for like your average person to have a YouTube, just like they have an Instagram, or if they're on Facebook Marketplace or something, or even YouTube is becoming more of a social media app than like, to be honest, up till now, I wouldn't, it hasn't really been social media in that it's not really about friendships, like YouTube is like, I suppose there have been certain people who have made careers on YouTube, but I don't know. It feels like that role is being reinvented or more democratized. Something is happening at YouTube. That's what I'm kind of trying to unpack, because I've noticed it in my traffic. The things like this video at Spoonbill, I think got pumped out to people that are not subscribers of my page, but might be interested in the content actually. Like I had a guy, I guess he's the poet laureate of Malibu, California. He commented on the Spoonbill reading that he has a YouTube channel where he does all these interviews, and like he had an interview with Mariano Zara, who I met when I was out there last time, 5 years ago almost. I haven't traveled in almost 5 years. It's crazy. Well, 4, I guess, if you count Ohio. So I've got to do a West Coast swing sometime in the near future. But in any case, I'm here for it. I don't know. I overheard this guy. I was sitting. There's this cafe across from the church. I was sitting eating, and I overheard these two people having some kind of like lunch meeting, business type thing, and they were like influencers. And this girl was talking to this, she was just effusive over this guy. I guess he had just started an Instagram in June or something. She's like, your content's hot fire. It's fire. It's fire. And he's like, yeah, I got 250,000 followers. And she's like, you got that since June? Oh my God. And so they were like talking shop about management and agencies and this and that. I mean, this is something I guess I harp on a lot on this. It's just like, if you're not, it's a gold rush. If you're an entertainer, especially, I think that's why comedians are so like kind of locked into this zone, because they're kind of made for it. They're made to be like talking heads or okay. And it's weird that like there has been kind of a such thing as an Instagram influencer up till this point, because it's becoming more of a video medium, which kind of makes sense for the influencer role when it's like, oh, it's vlogs, or like, here's what I ate at Disneyland, or whatever it is that you're like. That kind of makes more sense for the influencer role. Up until this point, the influencer has been what? Just a bunch of kind of posed lifestyle kind of pictures or something. Like, here I'm traveling, here I'm doing yoga and on some sea coast or something. It's like, oh, I'll follow that, and that person gets shitloads of followers, or I guess, attractive people maybe, or, Dan Bilzerian is like an influencer, because it's like, what? I don't know. He's got guns, he's got, bimbos, he's got, it was all like a PR kind of staged photo op thing. Conspicuous consumption, was basically what Instagram was about. That's why I'm here for the video revolution, because up till now, it's just been like pictures of hot people, or not even hot people. They have Instagram face, or they're fake tan, they're Charlie D'Amelio, or like I said, Bilzerian. It's like with video, it's like at least there's some substance. It's like it's aesthetic beyond like Instagram filter, even though a lot of videos are kind of paint by number and just like a sort of a vibe gets invented and people just copy that. But, I really think TikTok did crack the formula where they just autoplay. Because the thing is, people didn't want to watch videos. Like today I was on Letterboxd, and it had, who's the guy who did Sorry to Bother You? Boots Randolph, his top 4 movies. So I clicked it, and then it takes me to a video. It's like, I don't want to watch a fucking video. I want to see a list and be done with it. It's like, whereas like TikTok, it's like, yeah, give me more videos. What's next? What are they going to show me next? What do I want to see that I don't even know that I want to see? And so it's, maybe this is just some carrot that they're dangling in front of everybody, but that's how it has felt up until this point, right? It's felt like the algorithm just hates us. It doesn't want us to be seen. I've been live streaming to literally like, if there was one person watching my live stream at any point over the last, and I've been doing it since 2020 consistently, so that's almost 5 years of live streaming for me. And, it's like building it one subscriber at a time. I've got 381 subscribers. It's like, how the fuck do I get this thing to pop off? At what point, is it going to achieve a critical mass and just snowball? Or is it not? Is it just a carrot on the stick and you're just going to keep making content, keep streaming to nobody? I know that there are people watching. People have started to comment a little more. After the debacle of my last stream, which I won't go into, I edited it. I had a couple people comment. One guy said he watches my streams the next day. Like I said, I had a couple people comment on that poetry reading video, which was nice. It's nice to know that there's just kind of poetry fans out there that are... it was a little bit more. There's something to like for the algorithm to dig its teeth into, or the search engines or whatever. In that it's like in this bookstore in Williamsburg. Maybe people have heard of it. Maybe the algorithm has heard of it. It's a little bit of a nicer location than like just the open mic over and over and over again, where I'm like posting this sort of low-grade video of that same curtain and room and stage and beating a dead horse. We got to talk about Pete Rose, the hit king. Okay, first of all, it's just a disgrace and a joke. The Major League Baseball Hall of Fame is a joke. And fuck these sanctimonious sports writers. It's just like Pitchfork or Rock and Roll, where it's like the critics want to control the thing, and they can't. There are people who are too great for the Hall of Fame, like Tommy James and the Shondells. Is Link Ray in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? But Pete Rose, I mean, what does it say about the Baseball Hall of Fame that the all-time home run leader and the all-time hit leader are not in it? It's like, I think that says more about Major League Baseball. It's like, why did they let these guys... If these guys are so bad, why did they let them fucking play? I mean, obviously Pete Rose, I guess they didn't find out till late in his career. I think was he a manager at that point? He was a manager of the Reds. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the Tom Sizemore biopic. But there's a great... Peter Bogdanovich directed an ESPN movie. I recommend people go check this out. It doesn't have that many Letterboxd reviews, believe it or not. I remember seeing it on fucking ESPN, when I was in high school or college or whatever, because, like, I was a Bogdanovich fan. I'm a Pete Rose. It's Tom Sizemore. I mean, talk about perfect casting. Get the biggest sleazeball in Hollywood to play the biggest sleazeball in baseball. We love Pete Rose. He's a dirtbag. That's betting on baseball is as American as apple pie. Okay, that's what we love about him. He would do anything to win. He slid head first, for Christ's sakes. And I like the way that he played ball. It was like he wasn't just a big home run. You know, that's the only thing anybody fucking cares about anymore. The finer points of the game, like everything in our culture, have kind of been lost. When you watch Pete Rose, the reason why he's got so many more fucking hits than everybody is because he was trying to get hits. He was a switch hitter. That's a big reason why. He had this thing where he's explaining about how if you're a lefty, it's like, you know, you're 1 out of 10 people. So it's like it's a huge advantage to be a switch hitter. I think he got the majority of his hits over 3,000 as a left-handed hitter, which is kind of fucking nuts. And just a testament to the guy's discipline. The fact that he was able to teach himself to hit a fucking baseball left-handed is crazy. You know, he's a right-handed guy. And if you watch him hit, the thing that I'm into baseball. This is something I wanted to talk about, just kind of how baseball is dying, or just like people don't really watch it as much. It doesn't seem like it has the kind of culture import, certainly, that it did in the 20th century, because of all these scandals and the way that the world has just moved on, and gotten faster. You know, baseball is kind of too slow for the modern world. Am I still on? Let me just make sure that I'm still on here. Yeah, okay. Ashley, please. Yeah, we did have a great rating. It was a wonderful event. I really appreciate Ashley, you know, getting me involved. I'll get into that in a minute. I'll talk about the reading in a minute. I'm talking about Pete Rose. And he obviously should be in the Hall of Fame. He's the all-time hit leader. Well, it's especially hypocritical, and this is something I've talked about a lot in the last couple of years, because when I had that TV on 21st Street, I would watch it, and it was shocking to me. Every commercial was either for a prescription drug or for online sports betting in your phone, DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever the fuck. And I mean, it's kind of insane that Pete Rose died, you know, before they let him in the Hall of Fame. And now it's like you can literally bet on baseball from your fucking phone. I guess a lot of kids are doing this. This is like a problem with like kids, is they're doing online. And it's like, you know, the thing about, you know, sports betting is like, it's not a great habit, you know, it's a vice, it's an addiction, right? And, you know, there's a lot of great ones who've had this addiction. Michael Jordan, most famously. Norm Macdonald, I think, was like kind of a gambling addict. There's probably tons of examples. Bruno Mars, right, is a gambling addict, supposedly. The high, you know, and I think Pete Rose never bet against his own team. Okay, I think that's you know, if anything, that's more of a reason for him to be in the Hall of Fame. He bet on himself. I think that's I think that's honorable. You know, he believed in himself so much that he was willing to put money on it. You know, I think that's more of a commitment. That's more love for the game. You know, I don't think there's anybody that loved baseball as much as fucking Pete Rose. The guy lived it. He breathed it. He understood it. You know, he had a good mind for the game. And he's kind of a fucking motor. I don't know. He's like this, like he's just kind of this gross, I don't know. He looks like he was saying this thing. He liked it when it's hot. He liked it when it's cold. He liked anything that hurt the pitchers. You know, and it's like you just get the impression that Pete Rose was just like dirty, smelly, just like a guy's guy. You know, they don't really, I don't know, they don't really make him like that. You know, he's somebody that it seemed like he was able to perform just out of pure determination, hard work, hustle, right? Charlie Hustle. And, but like I said, he would make pragmatic decisions about why he played the way he played, why he hit the way he hit. Like I said, he taught himself to be a switch hitter because he knew it would be a competitive advantage. He's got more singles than any other player in history. He's got more doubles than any other hitter in history. I heard Pete Rose was in more games. He won more games. He was on more. He was a part of teams that won more games than anybody else in history. He won like over 1,900, almost 2,000 games during the regular season, which if a player now won 100 games a season for 19 seasons, they still wouldn't have won as many games as Pete Rose won. I mean, that's pretty fucking crazy. And it's just a farce. You know, the MLB, it's just like, I hate to say it, our country is on steroids and it's out of control. It's not the same country that it was. They should just embrace the fucking roid heads. You know, Roger Clemens is in the Hall of Fame because he's a juicer. It's like, get real. This is just where America is, you know. This is Trump's America. And maybe it's evolution. Maybe steroids and online gambling are evolution. I don't know. Get your adrenaline pumping, get your testosterone roiling. You know, Pete Rose. So my buddy used to work at this nice hotel in Cincinnati. My buddy was like a waiter down there. This is probably like the 2000s. And he would wait on Pete Rose regularly. Pete Rose would come in because he'd go to Reds games or, you know. The Reds, unlike the Indians, have won a World Series like in the sort of recent past. I think they won a World Series in what, like 1990 or something, the Barry Larkin era, the Chris Sabo era. Where are my Chris Sabo heads out? Remember Chris Sabo had the goggles? He was one of those guys. He was a white guy with goggles. Chris Sabo, I think he played second base. Pete Rose, he started at second base. He moved to third base. He played first base. He played catcher. You know, Pete Rose played at all these different fucking positions. He was a player manager. I mean, what's cooler than being a player manager? There's not too many of those around anymore. Where have all the player managers gone? That's my dream, is to be a player manager. They entrusted Marge Schott, the racist, entrusted her entire franchise to this degenerate gambler. It's real. They did him dirty. They knew that it was. It's, you know, just shame on them. Shame on the Baseball Hall of Fame. It just makes them look worse. They let this guy die. It's petty. Like, I don't know. Baseball has this weird thing with gambling, with like the Black Sox scandal, right? Well, it had this weird thing with gambling. The other thing that we're not talking about is Ohtani, right? So this guy, Ohtani, who plays for the Dodgers, he just had like one of the greatest games ever. He went 6 for 6. He hit 3 home runs. I think he had 10 runs scored. He had like 3 stolen bases in one fucking game. He almost hit for the cycle. But he got sort of in some hot water earlier this season because his translator had placed like, I don't even know, $10 million or just like millions of dollars worth of bets on baseball, I think. I don't know if it was using his accounts or what I don't know the full extent of the scandal, but this Ohtani guy is like this big golden goose for the MLB right now, where it's like, you know, he's in the 50-50 club, you know, and 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. And he's just like, he's one of the kind of most naturally talented players they've ever had. His contract is fucking massive. I think he's got the biggest contract like ever in sports or something. It's like $700 million. But, you know, he's kind of worth it because he's an unbelievable, he's a pitcher too. So not only is he an incredible hitter, probably the best hitter, you know, in the game, but he also is like a great pitcher, which is like almost unheard of. And somebody's calling me. It's probably Kuzu Daddy. Let's see what he's got to say. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Hello.
Man, did you lock the door?
It's locked. Can you not get in? You don't have the key?
No, I don't have no key. The key's inside.
All right, all right. I will come unlock it.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Okay. So that we'll have to pause that for now. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get this fucking door real quick. Live stream right now. I just started doing it. So if you just want to put the microphone on. Okay, so we're back. We're back. And we're back. And we're back. Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about Pete Rose, Ohtani. So yeah, this Ohtani guy, supposedly his translator was betting on sports, but I don't really buy that. I mean, like all these fucking, you know, like Michael Jordan, they're degenerate. Charles Barkley, I guess, is a big time gambler. Like, we're talking tens of millions of fucking dollars. These guys have lost tens of millions of dollars gambling. And so they kind of need that. You know, they're so good or they're so competitive. They need that extra, like, Viagra or whatever the fuck, you know, of like having money on it. And so I definitely think that Ohtani guy was betting on baseball. Supposedly the FBI looked into it and exonerated him. That's what I heard in the TikTok comments section where I was debating it with somebody. But I think he was betting on baseball. And I think they definitely covered it up because their investment is too huge. And like I said, I don't think baseball is really what it once was. I mean, when I was a kid, we were obsessed with fucking baseball. Literally until probably, you know, middle school. As soon as they started doing laps, that's when I stopped playing sports because I just couldn't do laps. I didn't want to run. I didn't like conditioning. Conditioning was fucking misery. It was miserable. So that's when we quit. But as a little kid, you know, as from the age of, you know, 7, there was this field. When my parents got divorced, my mom moved to this apartment complex, and there was a big field with nothing in it next to it called the electric field. And so we used to play baseball in that field. And so it was like I was in Little League, you know, from probably age 7 to 12 or whatever. And prepubescent, I guess. But I don't know. It seems like children today are a lot more violent. Everything needs to be way more action-packed. It's got to be fucking, you know, I guess football, basketball, you know, these things are more telegenic. A lot of people complain about baseball's boring. You know, I guess now they have like this MLB package thing you have to get that's super expensive. So it's like, it's not easy to find the games. I was watching the Mets on Pix 11. That's free. You could watch pretty much all the home games or, you know, most of the games with Keith Hernandez on the announce. And I liked it. I mean, to me, it's one of those things that it's like it's only boring if you don't really understand. Once again, it's about like the nuance of the pitcher and batter duel. And that's kind of what's interesting about it is like the psychology of why the pitcher throws what pitch they throw. That's really the game, I think, that the best pitchers and batters are playing. You know, it's like when you listen to Barry Bonds and Greg Maddux talk about what's going through their heads during the matchup. You know, it's mental as much as anything. Where it's like, okay, he's got two pitches. He's got a slider and he's got a fastball. It's like and a changeup. So it's like, how is he going to deal those out? Because the ball comes at you so fast, you kind of got to know what pitch they're throwing before they throw it, or else you're not going to be able to hit it. And so Pete Rose, I'm sure, is somebody that's like that too, or Tony Gwynn. It's like when you hear the guys talk about, you know, the psychology of what the fuck is going through their heads. It's like it's almost all mental, like what they're, why they're so good at it. You know, it's hand-eye coordination, of course, but like, you know, they almost know what pitch the guy is going to throw before he throws it. And so I don't really know. When I was a kid, I didn't really get that. When I was a kid, it was just like I like Ken Griffey Jr. because he fucking hits home runs and shit. And you know, we do live in this era where it's like everything has to be maxed out. It's home runs. It's like billionaires. It's you know, slam dunks. You know, slam dunks weren't even legal in basketball until like, you know, the 80s or whatever, the 70s. It was traveling. Back when they actually called traveling. And so, you know, everything's, you know, it's got to be UFC. Everything's got to be high impact. It's got to be, you know, telegenic. Baseball is more of a genteel, you know, it's sort of I think one of the reasons it's kind of waned is because, like, think about, you know, it really was born before television or radio. It was like the product of these, you know, like, they'd build a stadium in New York and people would go to the fucking baseball game. Like 162 games a year is crazy. That's literally half the year. You know, they're outside playing this game. They didn't even have fucking night games. It was during the day. So it was like people had leisure or something to go to the ballpark. They'd take the fucking trolley there. You know, it was cheap. So all these people could go. It's like now baseball is like this, like everything, concerts, it's like this boutique experience. It's surge pricing. You know, it's this luxury, you know, tickets are expensive. The concessions are super fucking expensive. It's $20 for a beer. The ballparks are like these theme parks. And it's, you know, it's a slow game. It kind of goes with a pre-internet, pre-automobile, pre-high-speed, instant, you know, it's a pastoral, like, strolling kind of yeoman farmer game. Where it's like sort of an imitation of, like, you know, shepherds or whatever. I don't know. But there's also this element of teamwork. You know, it's peaceful. They're almost like Amish people. You know, when you see baseball team out there, it looks almost like the Amish building a fucking barn or something. And, you know, the thing about it is, even though all the players might not be involved in every play, it's like they still have to be 100% attentive. You know, so it's like there's this built-in it's like hurry up and wait. You know, if you're in left field or whatever, a lot of time you're just standing out there, you know, so there's this aspect of like daydreaming. There is an aspect of boredom that's like built into baseball. I think that's what's nice about it. It's kind of what's poetic about it. You know, there's all these poets that are like, you know, yo-yos with money, right? Is the book Ted Berrigan and Harris Schiff. They went to a Yankees game and they wrote a poetry book while they were at the Yankee game. That was like they were the announcers of the game. And that's kind of what I do in all my poetry. It's like sort of being like the sports announcer of your consciousness. And so it's a genteel game, you know. It's a strolling game, you know. It's made for that kind of leisure, you know, fucking Proust era. You know, it's like Walt Whitman saw fucking baseball and shit. So it's like it's almost pre-electricity, really. And so everything in our society has gotten faster, louder, harder hitting. faker, bigger tits, faker, plastic surgery, more Instagram face. In baseball, it's one of these things where nothing happens most of the time, and then everything happens at once. Just kind of like life. It's just like you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then bam, bam, bam. And also like life, you don't get a hit that often. It's like even the best players bat 300. They only get a hit 3 out of 10 fucking times. And there's been plenty that's been said about the church of baseball and all that kind of bullshit. But okay, Ashley. And so it's like poetry. It's like staring out the window. It's like taking a train rather than flying in an airplane. It's a slower thing. That's kind of what's nice about it. I think as human beings, we should use these things to sort of brace us against the breakneck speed of modern life. It's like our lives don't necessarily need to go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. The markets don't need to be open 24 hours a day. Even though we live in this cutthroat where you got to take every competitive edge you can, which means you got to work 100 hours a week and be super disciplined and blah, blah, blah. And be trading 24 hours and be on the clock 24 hours. I think we need to go against that. We need to figure out a way to put some kind of like speed governor on just how fast our lives move, and things like baseball kind of slow it down, cause you to be in one place, and present, and it doesn't matter what the fucking Baseball Hall of Fame says, because the people know what Pete Rose did. They saw it. They watched it. They were there with him. And they want him to be in the Hall of Fame. The people have love for him. And, I get it. Like, they want to be legal or righteous or whatever. But I don't know. These games are corrupt. They're all fucking corrupt. I think that's just, I don't know. Whatever if you get away with it, I don't know. Like, didn't Tom Brady and Bill Belichick cheat a bunch? They deflate gate, and they cheated every way they fucking could to get ahead. That's what winners do. They take every fucking possible... Well, I don't know. Once again, we're in Trump's America, where it's like he cheats at golf, and there are people that respect him for that. They're like, yeah, I want my president to cheat at golf. We want a president who's going to cheat for us, so we win. That's like the mentality. And it's like, the thing is, fucking Pete Rose didn't even cheat. It's not like he was doing something that was like, steroids, it's debatable. Even with Barry Bonds, it's like the skill is there. Even without fucking steroids, the guy was just purely on talent alone a Hall of Fame fucking athlete. With Pete Rose, right? I kind of find it touching that he bet on his own team. Yeah, so check out the Tom Sizemore movie, the Peter Bogdanovich directed Pete Rose biopic. Hustle, I think is what it's called. It's kind of an anti-hero. I'll be rewatching. I think Virginia Madsen's in it, maybe. All right, what the hell else do we need to talk about? We need to talk about Asheville and the hurricane and these extreme weather events. I've never been to Asheville, but I've heard a lot about it as, it's like this arts capital. People are always, because like people are always, older women, your parents' friends or whatever, always like trying to give you advice about where, this place has a good art scene. Every town that you'd want to move, they have a great art scene. You should, oh, Chicago or Detroit. You know, Detroit's the next New York. You can buy a house for 20 grand and they have a great art scene. Asheville was what I always heard. Asheville was like the sort of hidden gem, magical place. Didn't C.A. Conrad live in Asheville for a certain period of time? Um, I've never been there. I've never. That's the Blue Ridge Mountains. Is that the smoke? Is it near the Smoky Mountains? Is that Cornet area ish? But apparently this hurricane. I mean, I guess it was just like caught them completely off guard. The concept is like they live in the mountains, so it's like they thought they were kind of protected from, you know, the harsher effects of climate change, meaning hurricanes, earthquakes, Florida shit, you know, or California shit, or you know, fires, volcanoes. But it's like no one is safe from climate change, right? It's going to happen everywhere. We're all going to die. And I mean, I don't know. The videos that I've been seeing, it's really unbelievable. The devastation. Entire towns have been destroyed. It's crazy to think about. You know, roads, all the roads are fucking destroyed because they just weren't prepared at all. I don't even think people evacuated. You know, because it was just like I don't even know. And I mean, it's been rainy here. You know, for like the past week, it's been gray and rainy. So we're getting like the extreme tentacles of these massive super systems, you know. And there's more hurricanes coming, you know. I mean, one of the inconveniences for me is like after the open mic, the fucking train, the Q train goes in two segments. It goes to Barclays and then from Barclays here. And the reason why is because of Hurricane Sandy. I heard them talking about it. Hurricane Sandy was 2012. So that's, you know, over 10 years ago. And the subway is still fucked up because of Hurricane Sandy. I mean, we're lucky that there hasn't been another hurricane since then, to be honest. Like, there's every September in New York, it is kind of like hurricane season, to be honest. It's like this year we had really nice weather, but like usually 1 or 2 weekends in September, October, it's like it gets gray, it gets this kind of wet, windy, kind of like damp, blustery chill. And it's like it's because these fucking hurricanes, it's, you know, start flying up the Gulf Stream or whatever. And so really all, you know, the whole eastern United States sort of gets the hurricane, you know, to greater or lesser degree. Like even the, you know, Helen went through like Ohio after it was kind of like, you know, had been through the landmass and kind of like lost its, you know, kind of effect. But still, it's been raining, you know, pretty much across the whole eastern United States because of this crazy fucking massive weather systems that we have now. And, you know, I mean, like I said, it feels like with New York, it could happen any time, really. You know, there's always things that are sort of like, you know, what wasn't there some kind of big flooding like a couple years ago? I seem to remember like a bunch of people's basement apartments got flooded and shit. Like there's these flash floods, which is where it just fucking comes out of nowhere and like all of a sudden it's, you know, they were saying in Florida like some of these surges were like 20 feet deep and shit. So it's like you're not going to survive that shit, you know, like that's going to carry your, it was like fucking Old Brother Where Art Thou or something, you know, it's going to carry your whole fucking house away. This is like, you know, a Charlie Patton flood, high water everywhere. And it's weird how that shit, you know, that shit leaves like this traumatic scar on the consciousness of like a society where it's like, oh, they still talk about the Great Flood of 1913 or whatever. Doesn't Randy Newman have a song, 1927, Louisiana or whatever, about the dam breaking? The dam's gonna break. When the dam breaks, that's when like towns get wiped out and shit. So, I don't know. I guess we're all in the fucking disaster film. You know, it's sooner or later it's going to be your turn in your part of the country, whatever it is. But in any case, yeah. So we had the reading on Saturday. It was a nice time. It's always nice to read, and I mean, so many of my books have come from Spoonbill, Sugartown. I bought so much stuff there over the years, and we actually did the Easy Paradise launch reading there in 2018 because I lived in Greenpoint, so I would go to Spoonbill like pretty regularly, once a week or something at least. I just walk over there, and I met Jonas, the owner, super nice guy, super cool. And, we struck up a conversation, and he was nice enough to let us host the Easy Paradise magazine launch, which I put out in 2018, 6 years ago at this point, over 6 years ago. Because they know their stuff there. You know what I mean? They're hip people. That they own a fucking bookstore. It's like they know that world kind of from the inside. So, he saw my magazine and he recognized like, oh, okay, these people, blah blah blah. He saw Todd Colby and I think that was sort of like, an indication that we were like serious. And he's like, you can get these people to the reading. I was like, yeah, probably, hopefully. And so they let us do our reading there. I think it was a Saturday, maybe. They had this annex. They had another branch. Believe it or not, before the pandemic, things were so nice that Spoonbill had another fucking store on Montrose, over by the Montrose stop of the L. And it was this nice. It was like hardwood floors. It was like, kind of an open. I think now it's like a fucking maternity store or something. Clothes. Or like a baby fucking supply store or whatever, baby clothes. But it was nice. They had nice art, nice lighting. They had a nice garden out back, and so we did the launch there in 2018, and it was a bunch of people from the magazine, who I had met at open mics and readings and stuff. Jordan Franklin, Chris Roberts, Zoe McIntosh, Olivia was there, Sarah, of course. Nicole came out. Who else? Just a lot of Daniel, my friend Daniel, Zoe, or Phoebe Glick, or Phoebe, at the time. So it was really a nice. Todd Colby came out and read, which was like, big deal. We got boxed wine. We went to the wine store. We got this boxed wine. So it was just a nice night. It was just like, it was a nice reading. It's on YouTube. You can watch the fucking Spoonbill reading. It is on YouTube from 2018. The Easy Paradise launch reading from 2018. Maybe I should rebroadcast it or something so people will see it, know that it's out there. I've got so much fucking, I don't know if people explore my YouTube page, but I have so much stuff on there. It's crazy, going way back. And so, I'm protective about it. It is an archive. It's a valuable, particularly all my live streams. I mean, I can't let anything happen to these things. I encourage people to go back and watch the old ones. I think they have good replay value. But yeah, so we did the launch at Spoonbill in 2018, poetry reading, and it was such a wonderful night. And they were nice, like I said, and that we could sell the magazine there. So the magazine was at Spoonbill for a long time. But then I moved away. I moved to Ridgewood and then onward from there. And so I don't really get over to that part of Brooklyn very much anymore, to be honest. It's like it's not that easy for me to get to, and I don't know. Williamsburg is just so fucking like Williamsburgy that I don't. It's just become this weird kind of like Hollywood. It's like Soho or something. But yeah, so the reading, it's like what could be better than reading? So it was the other Spoonbill. We had done it the first one, the annex. We did this one at the original location, I guess. Yeah, we had a wonderful night, Ashley. Okay, how long have I been doing this anyway? 54 minutes. What else is there to say about it? I mean, okay, so they told us we could read for roughly 10 minutes, which, um, I didn't know the order we were going in, and I generally, you don't want to be the guy that's like going on forever and ever and ever. And to be honest, I don't. I'm getting more used to it, but like these past few years, have been my beginning of like getting 10-minute sets, 15-minute sets, whatever, 20-minute sets. And so that's a whole different feel. Like I had this line in my poem, I can tell what time it is just by my body, And it's like by being on stage, I feel like I've kind of like doing a bunch of comedy. You kind of internalize how long 5 minutes is, or like when I do the opening at Easy Paradise on Mondays, I know kind of by doing it this so many times, I kind of know exactly how long 10 minutes is. I always try to do 10 minutes at the beginning, and I kind of and I've kind of internalized how long that takes. But I haven't done that many readings that are 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Like I said, I've started to over the last couple of years, but I'm still kind of getting used to that. And, it's a whole different fucking thing when you're just some person on an open mic, when there's like a 2-minute time limit or a 3-minute time limit or whatever it is, 2 poems or 1 poem. And, having 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes and being like a feature and having your name on the fucking poster and it's also like an inner confidence, because like you go from being this person who's like apologizing, like I'm just trying to get this over with and get out of the way so the next person can come up, to like, okay, these people, I don't have to rush. How can I show them more of what I do? Or, I'm just beginning to explore this stuff, So, like, up until now, my attitude has sort of been like, well, I got 10 minutes, so I'm just going to read one poem that lasts 10 minutes. Because I want to kind of sink into it. I want the audience to sink into it. I want to get as deep into that experience as I can within 10 minutes that I can. And so, but the other thing is, like, I'm trying to avoid having to have them applaud a bunch of times. I mean, one of the things about doing poetry readings is like there's this awkward sort of etiquette when it comes to applause. It's not completely clear what the etiquette is. Do you applaud after every poem? Do you snap fingers? What if they don't applaud? What if they sort of applaud but then they don't? It's like that kind of is an indicator that your poem was bad. And so part of it is, like I said, it's like lack of self-confidence or whatever, where it's like, I haven't had that many things where I'm like the feature or whatever and people are just like dying to hear what the fuck I have to say, like that's why I got to do open mics and shit. And so, like with this, it was like I had a bunch of, I spent the whole week last week writing in my big notebook. I talked about this. Because I was writing stuff to read on Saturday. And then when I was looking at it on Friday before the reading, I was like, I can't read any of this stuff. It just wasn't, I don't know, for whatever, it just didn't feel right at the time. Maybe I'll look at it a year or a week or two from now and be like, oh yeah, this is, but at the time it was just like I didn't have enough distance on it that it was like, I can't read this. This is not going to work. Well, I was trying a new thing, like I've been doing these notebook pieces for years now, and they're kind of my predominant mode and my kind of trademark thing. And the thing is, when I write in here, I know what I'm building to read, so like most of my poems from the past 4 or 5 years have been designed to read at open mics. Like I literally have been writing poems that are like 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long, because that's how long you get at an open mic. Maybe if you get 5 minutes, you can read 2 of them, And so a lot of my poems are like that length, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I have stuff that's other lengths, but I don't really get to read it that much unless I read it on live or, whatever. And so, um, I had been having these conversations with Philip where he was sort of like encouraging me to do something besides the notebook pieces, right? He's kind of over the notebook pieces. And to be honest, a lot of people, that's the feedback that I get is like, okay, we get it. Let's see what else you can do. Which I get why they're saying that, but I don't really think that's a great piece of advice. I mean, I think the notebook pieces are what I do, and it's a mode, like I said, it's designed for this purpose. It's designed so I can write material that I can go on stage and speak in front of an audience. That's what it's for. It's like these tunnels, these wind tunnels of language that just like I said, they go 2 or 3 minutes or what have you. Whereas, when you have 10, 15, 20 minutes to read, suddenly it's like, what? So I had that reading on 9/11, right? I think I read for over 20 minutes because I read a bunch of different poems of different lengths. With the spoonbill thing, I knew it was going to be like a bigger deal. It's like Ashley won this book prize. Another reader on the reading had won the same book prize. Jonas is on the reading. He owns the bookstore. So I was like, okay, and because it's spoonbill, it's like there probably will be some built-in audience. Like it was one of the more like, I don't know, like I wanted to do a good job and kind of like important readings that I've done, to be honest, because it's like, okay, I have to show why I'm at this. I have to hold my own at this. I'm not, it's not just some open mic thing where I'm like, um, but at the same time, like I'm a believer in being unprepared, or at least I'm so undisciplined that's just easier for me. But so before I'm trying to find something to read. What do I read at this? I want to read something that's sort of specific to the time or the place or whatever, or pertinent. Maybe I'll say some things that are pertinent to people's ears at the time. And I opened up my notebook and I'm like, this is what I'm going to read. Like I don't want to try something new at this reading that's like kind of a high profile thing where it's like if I try something new I could face plant. I'm going to try some totally, cuz it is a different style of composition. When I write in the notebook, there is a lot of pre-editing that goes on. That's one reason why I'm able to read straight out of my notebooks, because like I don't write anything down that I'm not prepared to publish really in here. And that's one reason why I can't, and I don't just open this thing up and write for 4 hours a day. For one thing, there's not that many pages in it, and if I did that it'd fill up quick. And for another thing, it's like usually the writing is not as interesting when I do that. You have to edit a lot more out. You kind of say too much. What I do with it now is like if a phrase comes to me that I feel like is poetry and tells a part of the story, it goes in the poem. So it's like cutting in camera. We're not just shooting 2 million feet and figuring out what our movie is. It's like we only have, 10,000 feet of film and we're going to use all of it, And so, like I said, it's something I built up over these past few years since the pandemic and even before of doing open mics. This is the process. I don't read the same shit every time. I don't have any poem. My work, it doesn't work like that. I don't have any poems that I can go to that I'm like, oh, these are my greatest hits. And I know they're going to kill in every circumstance every time. To me, I'm much more of like, it's more like a late night show where it's like there's a different monologue every night and it's topical. I like to talk about what's in the news, what's going on in society, what's happening in our lives. I think that's as equally valid content for writing as stuff that's supposed to be timeless or immortal or not have references or anything that's going to date it or something. I like having a lot of references. I think that's equally valid. And especially doing these live shows, for me, they're like guitar solos. It's like you play a new guitar solo every night. Well, it's like, okay, I say a new poem every night. There's new things to say. You know, we got to talk about Pete Rose. We got to talk about Diddy. We got to talk about, the dock workers striking. All that shit's got to go into the poem because it's happening. And maybe that is a gimmick or something, but it's my gimmick. And so, I'm trying to develop, like an ulterior process so I can have two things going at once. Like I said in the poem, I have two modes: notebook and live stream. And I'm trying to create a more kind of disciplined, product oriented. I haven't. It's not to say I don't have poems that aren't greatest hits that haven't stood the test of time or anything like that. But it's like I rather read stuff that's sort of time sensitive, has a sense of immediacy, and I don't know. There's something about seeing it in your own handwriting when it's new that like it feels like it's better. It feels like it works. It's like when you put it down on paper, like when it's a few weeks old, or when you see it in a different typeface, it's like by that point, it's like maybe certain parts of it will have hardened, or that's not to say you can't read old stuff too. I could read stuff from my Central Park book, and it would be just as, or the open mic book, or Bloomsday, or City Life chapbook, or Taking It to the Streets. I could read stuff from any of those books and it would still work. The idea is to create living, finished things on the fly as you go, in medias res, in the middle of action, in the field of action. You're writing, you're live streaming from but the technique does change. Like Bloomsday, I was thinking about that book because I was sitting in Washington Square Park, and I wrote a lot of that book in Washington Square Park because my process was changing. I had started doing stand-up comedy. I'd started listening to more long-form radio type things, podcasts, what have you, and I wanted to write something that fit into that form. Whereas before that, I was writing these like little haiku, very sparse. I wanted to push out these kind of like rants, and these kind of like poetic run-on kind of diatribe columns, like I was saying, columns of air or wind tunnels, 5-minute time limit, bits or whatever. Okay, so it was a rough 10 minutes at Spoonbill, and so I had a piece that I wanted to start with, Bop Transit Phone Brain, which is a little bit older, but I haven't read it anywhere. Maybe I'll just read it right now, because it starts with the Ashley reference, so I thought I should get that out of the way at the top, to just pay tribute. But I cut it because like I forget what happened, but like we got into a fight before the thing. And I told her, because I counted in my notebook how many pages it was going to be. And I'm like, it's 15 of my small notebook pages. And I had just read at this church open mic on the Upper West Side like a couple weeks ago. And Ashley was there. And the guy told me I had 10 minutes. And I went on for 10 minutes. I read a long piece that I was going to read at this open mic a few weeks before, but I didn't. So I thought I should read this piece, and it was 10 minutes. And that's not a bad thing, but like, I think the audience, I don't know. I'm like I'm such a like Midwestern apologetic person that it's like, oh, I don't want to take up your time. I don't have that sense of entitlement to like, oh yeah, of course I deserve 10 minutes and you're going to love it for 10 minutes. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's almost over. I'll go fast. I'm getting through it. And so I was worried that like, fuck, I've got 15 pages of this. How is that going to be 20 minutes? Like if I get stuck in the middle of this, am I going to be up there forever? Because I really had no idea I read for 20 minutes at Near's Tavern. I did not know. I thought I probably did 15. And I'm proud that I did 20. It felt good. But this reading, I was sort of the weak link on the chain, maybe. And I didn't want to like overstay my welcome, you know? So it was like Ashley and I, like I said, we had gotten into a little fight. And I said something about how I had 15 pages. And she said to me something about how I should cut some of it, which I was kind of surprised by because she's never really like critical of anything I do. And so I did cut some of it, which was a mistake, to be honest. I only read for 9 minutes, which is not a bad thing. You know, it's not a bad idea to, like I said, leave them wanting more and to be shorter. But I only read one piece. You know, I just read one piece that went on for basically 8.5 minutes or something. And, you know, hindsight is always 20/20, and it doesn't always go perfectly, but I do kind of feel like I didn't get the job done. You know, I feel like I did well. Like my reading wasn't bad. It was definitely like a you know, I would say it was like, you know, a positive reading for me. It was better than bad, but I also felt like I didn't leave it all in the field, and I didn't totally, you know, break all the way through and really spike the football. I didn't leg it out, you know, like Charlie Hustle. I kind of like, and I don't know, this happens before performances, you know, that's just the nature of doing it. You're going to have great shows, you're going to have bad shows, you're going to have humiliating shows where like you're emotionally scarred and you're like ashamed of yourself. You know, you're going to be publicly embarrassed, but then you're going to have massive triumphs where it just feels like you're fucking on top of the world and, you know, you're really going to make it or something. And so it wasn't bad, you know, like I regret that the video ended up being, you know, sort of not as good as it could have been. The angles are bad, the audio's not perfect. You can't even see, you know, you can't even see me hardly in the video, and then another reader you can't even see at all. So it's, you know, I should have done a better job with, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know that many people are going to watch it. I didn't know the algorithm was going to like it that much. I would have tried harder. I would have got a better video, but, you know, I probably, if I, knowing what I know now, I probably would have broken it into like 2 or 3 poems. Because to be honest, it was 2 or 3 poems, but I just kind of rammed it all together because that's what I like doing in these 10-minute readings. You know, I don't like stop and start. And like I said, I'm a little self-conscious to give the audience the opportunity to not clap for me. You know, it's like I kind of want to just like, I've always had I feel awkward about asking for that. I feel awkward about that moment of when you stop a poem, you know, because it matters how you stop it to kind of let the audience know, like, okay, applaud for me now. And you kind of have to like you have to build in a reason for them to applaud. You know, there has to be something in that last line where they go, oh, and yeah. And so I was worried that was not going to happen. And to be honest, I didn't have a real ending for the whole thing anyway. My ending was kind of weak. So the whole time I'm just like, how is this going to go? Like, am I going to bomb? Am I going to... You don't want to get up there and things start to drag. You know, that's what I was trying to avoid. I didn't want to get up there and, like I said, I'm in the middle of this poem and I'm like, oh my God, it's been 10 minutes. What do I do? I still have half the fucking poem left. And I did skip like 2 pages of it because I had read them at the open mic like on Monday. So there was 2 pages in the poem that I just skipped as like an edit on the fly because I didn't want to read it again. It didn't felt like I needed to read it again. And so that's probably, you know, it probably would have been about 10 minutes if I wouldn't have edited that stuff on the fly. Like I said, I did it on the fly because I could feel, well, like I said, because it was all one poem that I read. So it, you know, it didn't feel like I gave the audience any breather. So So I think that's one reason why I was kind of hurrying to finish. I was sort of, Ashley went first. She didn't take that long. I think she read for 10 minutes. And then I was second. So it was like, I didn't want to go longer than her. And I didn't want to, set some precedent. But there were four of us. And I thought this reading probably is going to last 40 minutes. And it did. It ended up lasting 45 minutes. So it probably was kind of the perfect length. But I do regret that I didn't get to read this. Let me just read this real fast. This is what I was going to start with. This is what I should have started with. Because it's just a short. All right, so 9-9 Bop Transit Phone Brain. Bop Transit Phone Brain. National S'more Day is Ashley's birthday, August 10th. I do community uproar, loans paid off, writing things to read on Wednesday, a no-good pothead, lazy, not returning texts or emails. It won't be there forever. I've got to take a piss, counting the days till I can go to the student dentist free of charge. English professor of Bordello Showbiz. Young again and again young. Again, young. After all these years. Yellow spring of Texas and leaves. West 4th Street middle platform between the orange and blue lines, where Amin and I played Ganip with flip-flops while we waited for the A and the F, respectively. Can't wait for that Fruity Pebbles white icing donut after the show, as a bonus, open 24 hours. Sex and the City crew orchestrating filming the city amongst the seasons like it's opera. Bands of light, true to their word, wrapping blocks and ribbons of roasting yellow. Pegged to groomsman sensimilla, leaky autumn hair. Tao Lin jumped off a bridge in Probst, the NYU Public Library, named after Jet Probst, the host of Survivor. That's why they have to keep it closed at night, because Tao Lin died there. See, I was going to start with that, but that would have been a good thing to start with. But you all, you never know. Okay, I'm not reading the Palo Alto poem, Ashley. You gotta be crazy. Yeah, so that would have been... It's always like this after you're like, oh, well, especially when you don't have that many opportunities. Like I said, it's like I've been lucky that recently I've had a reading about every 2 weeks or so to sort of like get 10 minutes or 15, or 20. But it's not that often. It's not like 3 or 4 times a week I'm going out and reading for 15 minutes, which would be the goal. That would be like the optimum lifestyle. Is like if you're doing 3 or 4 shows a week where you're like a feature 20-minute act. And then you could really like, strengthen the pieces and figure out which ones exactly, because it's an opportunity. The way I look at a reading is it's like a little piece in and of itself. It's almost like a little book you're putting together, So even at an open mic, I like to have a beginning, a middle, and an end where it feels like I'm saying something to the audience that's pertinent to where we are, to the situation at hand, and I'm sort of, there's like a built-in goodbye or like exit line, just like a scene in a play or something, or a movie. It's like there's there has to be kind of like a button on it or something. And so if you've got 15 or 20 minutes, it's like I could read a haiku and then a few sonnets and then a long poem, or I could put the long poem in the middle. Lewis Warsh said this thing about when he does readings, he'll read a long poem right at the beginning to sort of knock them on their ass, and then they don't know what the hell hit them, and then read a bunch of short poems. So that, it's like I said, it's like putting a book together, where it's like you have these different sides, or an album, it's like a track listing. It's your set list, right? It's like, okay, we'll do Meeting Across the River, then Sherry Darling, then Rosalita, right? And we'll close with I'm on Fire. And so, I don't know. This has always been my process with gigs, even going back to Audible Detonation and everything. It's just like I, I can rehearse and I do rehearse, but like, I don't know. I kind of, it's almost like you lose something. If I were to like, okay, I'm going to nail down exactly what I'm going to read. I'm going to rehearse it beforehand. I'm going to time it out, so I know exactly how long I'm going to read. Like, I'm just not that kind of person. And to me, that would probably kill the spontaneity. Or like, the reason why I only read stuff once is because like there's juice in it. And like, because it's topical, it's like as an actor, I get bored of saying the same thing over and over again. It's like if you're a band, it's almost like you get bored of playing the same songs every night. Or, there can be another way. Now that we have sort of limitless distribution, we can literally distribute infinite work. It invites the possibility of an ongoing improvisation and a serialization in installments of the work. Just like, that's how Dickens wrote. His fucking novels were like installed, the chapters were like appeared, serially in like the newspaper or whatever the fuck, Or fucking The Sopranos, right? It's like they had 8 days to make the show. So that's what they did, They had to fucking come up with it and put it out. And so that's what I try to do with my poetry. It's like every time I read, it's like there's some new thing to comment. The Simpsons rebooted. Did people see this? I wanted to talk about the Simpsons reboot. Not that I watch it. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe, actually. It feels like dead internet. Like, is anybody watching The Simpsons? There's no way anybody has watched The Simpsons for like the last 25 years. Like, there's just no way. Everybody knows the exact moment it stopped being good. It stopped being good the episode where Martin Sheen was Principal Skinner. I remember there were a few episodes right when I was like in 8th grade. There was some episode that was like a Lord of the Flies episode. That was the end, right there. When Skinner, like, you found out Skinner was like an imposter. That was like something, they jumped the shark. And yet they've continued to make this fucking show as if it's relevant. I guess people are watching. Who the fuck knows what it's been about? I've watched it like maybe once or twice over the years, and it's unbelievably bad. And so I guess on Sunday they rebooted the show, meaning they did something they've never done before, which is Bart had a birthday. The characters don't age. Frankly, I think the show would be a lot more interesting if they just let them age at this point. Like, television has kind of moved past the, every episode restarts after 22 minutes. And this popped up in my TikTok. That's the only reason I even fucking know about it. It has like moved the needle on the culture. Like, people, I guess, are talking about it. I don't know if that happens that often with The Simpsons in the last 20 years, but the actor who played Marge sounded really old. Like, their voices have changed, so it's like Marge sounds like old, but she doesn't look old. She looks the same. What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
You keep on
talking. All right. Do this real fast. I'll zoom out here. We got to get this good motorcycle and shit in here. See, I thought more people would be watching because the nice camera and shit, but I guess no one really gives a fuck about the production. It's all about the chat. People love the chat. What have I missed anything in the chat? Yeah, when the levee breaks, nice. Led Zeppelin, baby. Yeah, so The Simpsons have been garbage. I guess Matt Groening hasn't had anything to do with it in like 20 years. I guess it's been kind of James L. Brooks has been the predominant, which I guess would make sense. But why even why he is even interested, I don't know. But I gotta feel like at this point they could just AI the voices or something. You know, like they've got so much recorded material of those characters, they could just probably feed it into AI and fucking. The Banksy intro was pretty interesting. That popped up the other day. Remember when Banksy did like the couch gag? And it was like sweatshop animators, Korean sweatshop animators. I thought that was pretty good. But it's like, you know, The Simpsons has created this whole world. You know, you talk about fictional universes. It's like they have a whole town, Krusty and Principal Skinner and Hans Moleman and Mr. Burns and Smithers and everybody, you know, Maud Flanders. And so the show, it's almost like I heard at one point they were actually working on a spinoff, which was going to be Tales of Springfield. It's like that episode, I think it's one of the best episodes, 32 short films about Springfield, which is, I guess, is a takeoff of 32 short films about Glenn Gould, which I've never seen. Maybe that should be added to the watch list. We should watch that, Ashley. 32 short films about Glenn Gould. It's one of my favorite episodes. It does a lot of Pulp Fiction. It makes, you know, it's parodies. Chief Wiggum and Snake as Marcellus Wallace and Butch. And so it just jumps around the kind of like side characters. You know, it's not about Marge and Homer and Bart and Lisa. It's about, you know, and so they were going to do a spinoff, which was going to be all about the side characters. And just like, you know, every week was going to be new cartoons of the Simpsons. And they do that with some of the comics. If you read the Simpsons comics, it's like they have comics about the side characters and shit. It's amazing that The Simpsons has this whole comic fucking thing going. Bongo comics and shit. I guess James L. Brooks didn't like that idea. And so he put the kibosh on it. And so it never happened. But they were going to make a spinoff. And to be honest, I feel like that's what The Simpsons could become. It's just like, let them age. You know, let them grow up. And then, you know, if they die off or whatever, it's like there's so many people in Springfield. That show could be like Twin Peaks, you know? It could just be about Springfield and all of the people in Springfield. We could go into all of their lives. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to say centered. Maybe that sounds like sacrilege to say it, but like, I don't know. I think that there's an appetite for that kind of stuff. You know, I think we're only beginning to see that. You know, like because the mode of distribution has changed, it's enabled these fictional universes that people eat up. You know, like now they're making Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Lando and Rogue One. You know, there's every fucking spinoff you can think of. Same with Marvel. Same with, you know, when I was a kid, I used to read these fucking Star Wars novels that I'd get at like Walden Books or whatever at the mall. Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina, Tales from Jabba's Palace, that were like, they were short stories about like very, very, very minor characters in Star Wars. The thing about Star Wars is they crafted those universes so well that even these characters that appeared like one time on screen became like super memorable, like the Rancor Keeper or IG-88 or Dengar. You know, I had this whole Dengar obsession as a kid. I was like obsessed with fucking Dengar. I thought Dengar was super cool. And they made toys of all of them. You know, you could get the tree guy, whatever the fuck his name was. I forget his name. Or you could get Lips Manless or whatever the fuck that guy's name was. Or you could get what was the band? Snood or whatever, Psy Snood or whatever the fuck it was. You could get the Mos Eisley Cantina band, or you could get the Ewoks, or you could get, Yoda. Every little character had a unique look, a unique, so they could write backstories, right? So these books were just like the backstories of characters that were on screen once. And so you'd get a little short story that was like their life, And you could do that with a lot of stuff. In fact, that might be the nature of storytelling. We may have been limited up until this point to have these kind of like singular hero's journey, 90-page things. It's like, it's kind of more natural to have bedtime stories that go on and on and on, and you're building a town with all of the fucking characters, the mayor and the librarian and the, this whole world. It's, it's storytelling, I guess, in a certain way is being like God. It's like having this little toy train set or something and having all the little pieces and being able to set them up how you want, playing with action figures or puppets or something and fleshing that out. When I was a little kid, I was obsessed with Brio train sets, right? So it was like, I loved playing with this. And then you could add more. You could buy more train sets and more, trees and different. And, I think that's like nerd culture. That's like online gaming. It's like collecting, adding experience points, leveling up, earning achievements, unlocking, achievements, whatever. Gamification, right? I think fictional universe is almost like a gamification. It's Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know why nerd culture is the thing that tends toward that. Shakespeare, there's a little bit of it, right? Like the Henry plays kind of connect and things, but it's like, that stuff is very exciting to an audience. I don't know why. Like even Seinfeld is like this little world building, right? It's like, that's part of what makes it work, is it's like this little version of New York with like Babu and Newman, and you're getting that whole little world in a microcosm, like Synecdoche, New York or whatever. Human beings just like that kind of like tiny recreation of ourselves, that like dollhouse. And the expansiveness, right? It's like you want to collect more toys. When my brother and I were in middle school, we got this ping pong table for Christmas one year, but we also collected Star Wars toys. This sounds super privileged. And so we would keep the boxes. We had the Millennium Falcon and the Slave One and, the little fucking speeder bike guy. We had fucking Shadows of the Empire fucking toys and shit. And we built this entire like Mos Eisley recreation on the fucking ping pong table, right? With like the little boxes were the buildings. We'd put a little overpass. My brother was into that. He was into Warhammer and like painting the little figures and stuff. I don't know, role-playing games, that kind of strategy of having like a remove as you sort of imitate or replicate, reality as if you're God playing with the humans, like you're Zeus in Clash of the Titans and you're just playing with the little dolls of who, the voodoo dolls of real people. And so, it feels like more shows should move into that. More shows should have world building and, Sopranos, like there's an extended cast of characters and, that's part of long form narrative television, right? And these kind of bigger mediums that we have, these bigger structures, these bigger distribution, you can fit more. And so, like with The Simpsons, I think they could take advantage of that. We could see all of those characters kind of backstories, just like in Star Wars. When I was a kid, that was weird. It was like you had to go to the bookstore and buy these like nerdy, I don't even know if they were sanctioned by George Lucas or if they were just like, they were like fan fiction almost, right? That's everybody's favorite fucking thing now, is fan fiction for some reason. And to be honest, fan fiction is kind of like world building, extended universe stuff. It's taking these characters in this IP that's already kind of established and has a universe, and just sort of like more stories in that IP, more adventures of, it's Majora's Mask, it's not a new engine. It's the same engine. It's the same game. It's just a new, uh, you know, adventure within that world. And if you're able to create, it's just amazing how much that stuff builds in the audience, and how much the audience invests in that. If you commit to the suspension of disbelief and to the rules of your fictional universe. Yeah, and so I don't know. I'd like to see that more in other, like The Godfather's almost like that, where it's like it kind of gains by becoming this saga, and the family grows and new characters come in, and there's another movie, and all of the lore, right? That's everybody's favorite word now, the lore and the side quests. It's like, I thought that was one of the things that was super shrewd about Kevin Smith, is like the Askew-universe. He caught on real early to like the nerd fandom, internet forum urge to world building. Maybe it's escapism. Maybe that's like, we don't have any control over this reality, so like we have to create something we can control or manage or understand, or observe even, to just like get perspective. I don't know. That stuff is really exciting in the same way that just like seeing stuff pay off. It's like it's pattern recognition or something. It's like, here's this thing that's familiar to you, and oh, it comes back. And I don't know why that stuff is so like titillating. Like, oh, the idea that such and such person could have been alive at the same time as this other person. Like, oh my God, that's like a timeline. Like, there was this there's this episode I've been watching on TikTok of SNL, Saturday Night Live, from the late 90s, where Chris Farley hosted, and it was right before he died. It was like weeks before he died, and Will Ferrell is on it. So there's like sketches where Will Ferrell is in sketches with Chris Farley. And when you're watching this, you're like, how the fuck? This is like the universe folded in on itself. Like, how can Chris Farley and Will Ferrell be in the same... But it's like, oh, wait, there was this period of time where there was like this weird overlap. And it's like flashback jokes or something, like Back to the Future. It's like, for some reason, that stuff is very, I guess because the audience is kind of in on it. The audience completes the circuit or something, where it's like, oh, this is like crazy. That how could Chris Farley and Will Ferrell have been on the same... I don't know. That's like some kind of weird, like Avengers or like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, of like a timeline where it's like, how did this? I'm trying to think of other examples of this. Who was it? There was some baseball person that's like, this person like played against Satchel Paige and fucking somebody who's like 20. I don't remember. All right, what the hell else do we need to talk about? The fictional universe of poetry. Let me just consult my notes. Face, nuts, nuts, face, nuts, face, nuts, face. Okay, this is something I wanted. Yeah, we want to support the dock workers strike. We support the dock workers who are striking now. Apparently, everything in the United States comes from China. I saw this video. Even the United States military like orders its shit from China, not the guns, but like the uniforms and shit. And then they just rip the "Made in China" logo off and replace it with like "Made in USA." So their point was basically everything that we have comes to the United States in shipping containers through these ports, right? That's why the dock workers have so much power, and good. You know, it's like somebody's got to fucking shut this down and bring it all to a grinding halt. Um, so yeah, we want to support the solidarity with the dock workers. Yeah, it's crazy what's going on in fucking Israel right now. Is this the October surprise? Uh, they're escalating things, I guess, before the election. It's insane. I also wanted to talk about. I hate how certain songs, like okay, the Pete and Pete theme song, for instance, when you listen to it on Spotify, it has an extended intro that's like, I don't know, a clip from some fucking like educational film from the 50s or something. And it's like, 15 or 20 seconds long. Or, it's so long that's like, you just want to hear the fucking song. And so I hate when they do that with songs, when it's like, there's some kind of extended intro that lasts like a minute where you got to listen to some kind of like fog noise or some kind of like soundscape before this fucking actual song starts. Or like, some kind of sound bite from some record, or like they embed something after the song. So it's like the song ends after 2 minutes, but then there's like another minute of like some sound from some fucking movie or something. I wish they would just release an edited version of those songs, like the Pete and Pete song. I would love to have it in a playlist, but like, okay, if I wanted to play it Monday night when I'm DJing at Red Room, if I put that song on, the first 20 minutes are going to be this fucking educational movie or whatever. It's like nobody wants to hear that. We want to hear the fucking song. And yeah, so I'm just complaining about extended intros. Or, there's this version of Disco Inferno on Spotify, the song Disco Inferno, it's a one-hit wonder type song. By all intents and purposes, it should be 3 minutes long. The original version of Disco Inferno is like 11 minutes long. And I get it, it's like a dance floor extended mix, and these guys, were jamming the fuck out, and they were in the vibe, and that's cool. I get it, you want the 12-inch. Sometimes you want the 12-inch dance mix. But like, every motherfucking person that clicks that song since 1980 wants the fucking 3-minute version. They don't want the 12-minute. I'm sorry. We know you want to live the glory of Disco Inferno forever. But it's a 3-minute song. And just do 3 minutes and be out with it, okay? That's my advice. Oh yeah, Chris Christopherson died. Maybe we should talk about Christopherson for a minute and just see where that leads. I'm not really that familiar with Chris Christopherson. His face, he's just got such a his bones are so thick in his face. But he, over the past few years, I've come to appreciate, he's had a few songs that have kind of stuck in, like, Bob Dylan has a cover of They Killed Him, right? I think it's on Knocked Out Loaded, maybe? It's either on Down in the Groove or Knocked Out Loaded. The nadir of Jokerman Dylan. And, so, there was a man named Mahatma Gandhi. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I listened to this song for years before I looked at the songwriting credit. And so I finally looked at it. And it's Chris Christopherson, They Killed Him. It's about Jesus. Christopherson stuff, I think, is kind of Christian leaning. He's mentioned in Taxi Driver. How fucking crazy is that? They have this whole conversation about how Travis Bickle is like this Chris Christopherson song. He's a poet, he's a preacher, he's a pimp, or whatever it is. He's a walking contradiction. Sybil Shepherd says Travis Bickle reminds her of this fucking Chris Christopherson song. So I think, in the 70s, he's in A Star Is Born, right? He was in the original remake. It was supposed to be Elvis, I heard. They offered it to Elvis, but they got Chris Christopherson instead. Women thought he was sexy in the 70s. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He was a helicopter pirate. He was a janitor at the Nashville studio where he was pitching songs. Yeah, okay. So he just has a few of those songs that, like, in that era, he really proved himself as, like, he could write standards. He wrote Help Me Make It Through the Night, Why Me, Lord, right? Or did he write Why Me, Lord? I think, right? Or what's that song? Didn't he write that? Or Why Me, Lord? I think he wrote it. Of course, me and Bobby McGee. Where would we be without me and Bobby McGee? One of the all-time most overplayed covers that's been done to death, me and Bobby McGee. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. I mean, is there a fucking better line ever written than that? That's as good a line as anybody has ever written. I'm sorry. It's a bumper sticker. It's a t-shirt. It's a mantra. It's a motto. Words to live by. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, baby. Me and Bob. I mean, how many fucking people have covered me and Bobby McGee? Roger Miller did fucking me and Bobby McGee. So he's like one of these country songwriters. He's like Billy Joe Shaver or something, right? He's like Willie Nelson. But he's in Sam Peckinpah movies and he's with Barbra Streisand and shit. He's dating Barbra Streisand. Yeah, so I'll get off pretty soon. What am I on? 146. So we'll do 10 more minutes. Blade. In college. I never actually saw Blade. So I'm kind of... My friend Chip, he did this Chris Christopherson impression. Blade. Watch Blade. Rest in peace. I think that was like one of the first Marvel fucking... like modern day kind of superhero movies, to be honest, was Blade. Long before Black Panther, there was Blade, okay? And Chris Christopherson was there. He was a part of it. Blade. He's just like the haggardest motherfucker. But he's a liberal, So he's one of those good Hollywood cowboys, Blade. What the hell else did he write? I feel like there's more important songs that he wrote. Like, he wrote a lot of songs that were like Sunday Morning Coming Down, of course. He's haggard even in his songs. The beer I had for breakfast. He's just good. He's good at that turn of phrase, kind of witty thing in the country, couplets or whatever. Blade. All right, what the hell else do I got to talk about? Should I sit on the motorcycle? I mean, I've got a wireless mic. I don't even have to sit here. I was just doing that on the little fucking... This is like Sally Jesse Raphael meets Black Sabbath here. Meets Altamont. That's what we're going for the set here, the set design. Okay, what else? So Pete Rose, Chris Christopherson, some haggard-ass, manly-ass motherfuckers are leaving us. Supposedly 2025 is supposed to be the year of the century. That's what I heard. It's going to shape the rest of the century. It's going to be the most consequential year of the entire century, 2025. Hard to believe, but... I don't know. Is all hell going to break loose? Is it AI? Is that what it is? Is that what's going to be the big change, the big AI revolution that we're all clutching our pearls in anticipation for this AI to come in and take all our jobs? The ultimate illegal aliens coming in, taking all our jobs. The ultimate migrants, the AI. We'll all be fucked. We'll all be obsolete and left behind. What else? Let me just consult my poetry for a second. See if there's any other pertinent. I mean, I just can't say it enough. Shame on the Baseball Hall of Fame. They're not a legitimate institution, I don't think, really, as far as I'm concerned. America, I mean, this is a stolen land, okay? This country was founded on lying, cheating, stealing, killing, massacring, genocide. So Pete Rose better learn a little baseball. Come on. Well, I mean, and once again, this is something that I have been talking about for a while, is this online sports betting thing. It's just crazy to me because it can ruin your life, you know? It can put you into huge amounts of debt instantly. And it's just a bigger societal change, right? We're going cashless, everything's moving to credit. The money's becoming invisible. There's less of a paper trail. It's all data, it's all encrypted, it's all transactions on, you know, in ones and zeros. And you know, so online betting, it just seems like you're playing fucking Fortnite or something. It doesn't seem like real money. It seems, you know, you don't really have any concept of what you're losing. You don't have any chips in front of you. It's invisible. You know, there's no like visual for that abstract concept to like you know, manifest in, to sort of indicate how much money you're fucking throwing into this stuff or losing on it. You know, it's just this invisible leak or whatever. And I think they want that. You know, they want the kids to get their parents' credit card and plug it into DraftKings or fantasy football. You know, it's a way that you can participate in the game. And so it's like the sports are making tons of money. Well, it's also like now, you know, this is another thing in our society. Is just like now they want to build all these casinos everywhere. They want to fucking put a casino in Midtown. They want to put a casino. They want to put a casino at where Shea Stadium used to be. I saw, and it's like, or supposedly Jay-Z wanted to put a casino on top of Rockefeller Center or some building over there. You know, they want to put a casino like in Times Square or something. It's like, is New York not dysfunctional enough? I mean, these casinos, they built one in Columbus probably 10 or 15 years ago, the Hollywood Casino. And they're one of these things that, like, it's not really clear on the surface how, like, corrosive they are to, like, the community. It seems like, oh, it's bringing money in or jobs, or it's an economic, just like everything now. It's like it's some economic incentive. It's like, oh yeah, we need to build this stadium because it'll bring in business. So we need the taxpayers to build a new fucking stadium, or we need, you know, to give rebates to this housing development or data centers or Amazon distribution center, whatever the fuck it is. And as all this, you know, as all these transactions move online, this is the other thing, is like with AI and crypto and all this shit, it uses so much fucking power. And I have been talking about this a lot for years. I just don't see how that's going to pan out. I don't see it working. You know, they want to convert our whole society to being like something that's based on electric current and it needing huge amounts of electricity for every goddamn thing. You know, crypto and data, it's like they require huge AI, right? I heard an AI search, like now when you do a Google search, it automatically pumps it into like this AI search. I heard it uses like exponentially more power than a regular search. I don't remember exactly how much, 3 times more power, 10 times, something. You know, so it's like we're trying to convert everything to these like highly advanced computer systems, AI or whatever the fuck, quantum computers. But it's like the infrastructure is going to fail. The electrical grid is going to fail because, or, they want to build all these nuclear power plants. Microsoft has its own nuclear power plant, I guess, now. Um, and so I don't know. It's this stuff kind of goes hand in hand in a way, because it's always like tax rebates for the casino, for the fucking, or the casino's going to give something back, to the community. So it's like, we need this. We need economic growth. How are we going to do it? We need to promote tourism. Build a fucking casino on the, Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. Build a Margaritaville casino on top of, the M&M store. Put a casino in the Olive Garden in Times Square. Put a David Buster's inside the casino, inside the online gambling, inside the crack house, inside the off-track betting, inside of the rock or the Hard Rock Cafe. It's like everything is an addiction in capitalism because that's how they sell it to you. That's how they get return customers. They sell you a chip that makes you want to eat more chips. It doesn't have any nutritional value. It doesn't make you healthy or full even. It's, it just makes you want to eat more chips. You just want to gamble more on sports. You just want to do more parlay bets. It's like I knew that like there used to be bookies and shit, and like certainly sports has always, why else would they put the fucking spread in the newspaper? Like every fucking sporting news thing, it's like they put the fucking spread. It's like, why? What is that for? It's for gambling. So I guess it's always been happening. It's just now it's like literally an app, so that's the worst thing that could happen is that it's in your pocket. Your credit card is attached to it. So it's just like any moment where you're, there's no boredom anymore because anytime you get bored, you just get on your phone and go on DraftKings and throw some money down. I would maybe do it if it was like fake money. I would do like fake gambling. That might be kind of fun. But there's no fucking way I would ever do it with real money. Like that's just idiotic because you don't statistically like you can't really actually win. I mean, I don't know. There was a period about 10 or 15, and maybe even people are still doing this, but like I knew at least one or two, or there were a few people that like were sort of in my orbit that like were professional online poker players. There were this was, like before influencers. Before influencer became like a thing. Like 2009. There was like people that were like online poker players. That's like what they did for their job. They were so good at poker or whatever. They had some system. Doyle Brummel or whatever the fuck that guy. Doyle Bronson or what's his name? Remember the days of when World Series of Poker was like this huge fucking thing? It was the only thing on ESPN, ESPN2. Bravo had a fucking poker show. Turner Classic Movies had a poker show. It was like, Jesus Christ. And they all wore those like holographic like reptile glasses. It's like, what the fuck? That shouldn't be legal. You should have to have a poker face. I think that's a requirement for poker. You should not be able to put anything on your face. It's like that's more than half of the game is like having a poker face. If you put those fucking reptile holograph glasses, it's like that's just like putting a mask on or something. So yeah, I don't know. Apparently people love gambling. I've never had that addiction. I've never had that vice. I guess because I don't really like winning and losing and competition in that way. And I've never had any money either. So you kind of got to have money to blow it, to lose it. I mean, who's got so much money they can afford to lose it on gambling? Jesus Christ. There are normal people in America that like can like throw money away on gambling? Like I find that hard to believe. All right. Anything else we need to talk about? Um, I don't know. I guess. Oh, I did want to talk briefly about Michael Dukakis. It's election year. One of my earliest memories. Because I was born during Reagan. I had this jacket that I called my Ronald Reagan jacket. Because he was like a television personality. Ronald Reagan was a fucking. That's all he was like a spokesmodel. And so as a little kid, I was impressionable. I liked wrestling. So I had my Ronald Reagan jacket. But then in the election of 88, I liked Michael Dukakis for some reason. I think because I sort of thought I looked like him. He had those huge eyebrows. I didn't have huge eyebrows, but I could relate. I liked Michael Dukakis. I don't know why. I think my mom liked him. Michael Dukakis was like the front runner. And he lost because he got a picture taken in like a tank or something. He was like a Howard Dean. He got swift boated, and his media image was like horrible. He just had he looked like Dennis Kucinich, and I don't know how many people remember Michael Dukakis today, but he ran for president. He was literally the nominee. Could you imagine if we would have had President Michael Dukakis? 9/11 probably wouldn't have happened. All right. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Thank you for watching. We'll get back on tomorrow or the next day or both, maybe. Who knows? We're providing value to the viewer. And this community is strong. We love our community, our online community. Thank you guys for contributing, liking, subscribing, telling your friends, commenting. Engagement matters. Watch it tomorrow. Put it on your TiVo, DVR, my live streams. The Matt Proctor Fictional Universe. I'm probably going to put another vlog. But, everybody was blogging. Now they're vlogging. YouTube is becoming the new blog spot. It's just like the herd travels through these various interfaces and setups. AIM. First it was America Online, AIM, Napster, LimeWire, MySpace, Facebook, of course. I was on a thing called Bolt.com when I was younger. Friendster, Foursquare. Remember them? What else? Or with music, it's like that too. It's like, where the hell? You used to post music on MySpace. Then there was SoundCloud. Then there's Bandcamp. Now there's DistroKid. Now there's, now it's like easier for people to put stuff on Spotify, right? More people are hip to that. Like I said, 10, 15 years ago it was Blogspot. Everybody had a blog. We were all blogging. Now it's Substack. It's the same fucking thing, really. It's a blog, except you email it to people. So to some degree, you just got to chase the water level as it sort of goes through these different containers. And now or Snapchat. Snapchat's kind of rebooting. It's still out there, but so YouTube, I do feel some kind of groundswell happening where they're starting to connect us with each other. We're starting to get new viewers. They're starting to show us what we actually want to see rather than just shit that triggers us or propaganda to put us into some kind of like lonely man timeline. YouTube has been like a sluice for alt-right content. It's like, let's get you down this water slide to like, InfoWars content. Jordan Peterson, Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan. The usual suspects. But, you know, now we've got this amazing set and these great cameras and shit. So hopefully this is just the beginning of taking over, our live stream really taking off and just shaping the media landscape for years to come. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Well, like I said, we'll be back on tomorrow or the next day. Thank you for the 3 likes. We earned all of them. We earned it. Watch the reading. Watch the Spoonbill reading, and my vlog will be on, probably soon. So check out the vlog. It's going to drop soon.